Well, I put this together, kind of in a hurry, but today we stand more than, see, get your glasses. I'm looking at myself and I'm like, why you can't see, boy? You old. But today we stand more than 60 years after Dr. King's shared his dream speech with the world. He spoke of justice, dignity, equality, not as a distant hopes, but as a promise this nation must keep. Remember now, it's a promise that this nation must keep, and that's in our Declaration of Independence. And while we have made real progress, we know the story isn't finished. The dream is still being written.
That's right.
We see in the works to close the gap on opportunity in the push for fair treatment under the law. In the voice calling for unity, the line that divides us. Now, how could unity, being united, divide us? And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and push forward because I know I'm due on time. How can unity, being united, divide us? And with that said, people talk about things being political. And Dr. King spoke about this in a lot of his speeches, about things being stereotyped and how African Americans back in the day was being labeled for things that they were not. And so we talk about being woke. And I told folks I'm not gonna get political because it was never meant to be political. How can you be woke with your eyes wide shut? And the acronym I came up for woke, W-O-K-E, exemplifies Dr. King's I Had a Dream speech. Woke, without knowledge of ethnicity. Now we talk about race. Race is what you see. When you talk about ethnicity, you dig deep into who you are. You're talking about genealogy of who you really are, where you come from. And if you can study that, you'll see that we all come from the same one gene.
That's right.
The gene of humanity. We all come from one mitochondrial Eve. And if you want to get biblical, Mother Eve, Garden of Eden, started that train. Her 3 sons started what you call race, I call ethnicity. Because when you start looking at race, you see color. Black, white. I don't see black and white, that's black. And there's no one in here, look around, that looks anything close to this. And when you say white, my brothers and sisters don't look like that. They don't look like that. But we get caught in these stereotypical labelings. Dr. King was not for that. He stood for his people. He stood for his people. He died, unfortunately, for all of us, for his people, but for all of us. He would have loved to see the United States of how it is now. Now, we've came a long way. Steve is he's the history man of that. I would never touch that. But I didn't live through Jim Crow, but I lived through racism. And anyone said that doesn't exist, it's a lie. And a lie can never be the truth. I lived through that. But Dr. King, unfortunately, did not live to see how far we have become. Okay? We have people that don't look like us marching side by side, abreast, for equality,
All right.
racial justice, fairness. They know we all, if one falls, we all fall.
Yes, we do.
We all fall. And the reason why I write my books I'm gonna tell you right now, are very controversial. Very controversial. I don't down anyone, and anyone who wants to. I love being that I did a lot of paralegal work for the NAACP, and Steve will tell you, he'll bear witness, I'm very methodical. I look at precedents. Being a law student, I look at precedents because you will always win with precedents. And I have a sister, Judge Paisley, that told me, Raymond, show them the mirror, you'll never lose. Because we all are the same. We may look different on the outside, but inside, we all have hearts, we all have lungs. We love our children. Some may be more than others, but we equally love our children. And we want to see what's best for them. The legacy of Dr. King lived that. This is a man who lived that legacy. My uncles had a saying that you would either, you'll stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Being that I'm a combat vet and I'm 17 and being over there, and like I said, I met my wife when I was 21. That span taught me not to fear death. Now that may be crazy because that follows the suit. All Marines are crazy. You guys are nuts. We're not. It's just when you fear death, you fear standing. You fear that motion forward. You fear standing for what's right when even you know that it's right. Dr. King and several of his brothers throughout history lost their lives for me to stand here right now and tell you what I'm telling you with the vibrance and the lack of fear, unapologetic. What I'm telling you now. And my sister who writes, okay, Toni Morrison is one of my favorite authors. And she said, if you have something to say, be fearless, unapologetic, put it on paper. And I also write, because another thing my grandfather used to say, and longer I live, I hear myself sounding like him. He grew up in Jim Crow South, right here. If there's something that you don't want an African American to know, put it in a book. Please put it in a book for me, because I'll use this word and you're gonna take this word home. I will exegese it. I love it. Give it to me. So I tell you all, walk in Dr. King's legacy. Not only does it feel good, it is good. It's what's good for our nation. It's what's good for us as a people. Because like the pastor says, we do not fight enemies of flesh and blood. And I tell folks every time, when you meet someone with an attitude, don't get mad. It's not that person. It's the spirit that's in that person. So don't get mad at the person. That's why when you get mad at the person, then you start looking at color. Then you say, oh, well, the white fusion and the black and this and that. No. You got to meet people where they are. And you look at me and everybody see an African American. If I tell you how much of a mutt that I am, it would blow your mind. And then married to another mutt. So our kids are like the UN. My grandkids are worse. When we have barbecues and all that, our neighbors like, God, are those your kids? Every last one of them. If you mess with them, I'll show you how much a Marine I am. So that lets you know, love your brothers and sisters. When you leave here today, don't leave here from this program and say, okay, that was a good program, next year. Leave here with the legacy of Dr. King in your heart and see how far it goes. And regardless to who you worship, what God or what superior being that you follow, every book that I've read from the Holy Bible to the Quran speaks of this unity. We are living in the United States of America, not the divided states of America. And regardless to what's going on, I tell folks all the time, and this is the only time I'm gonna get political, whoever sits in that White House, be it Democrat or Republican, is not my God. And they're not the Antichrist, because if it was, believe me, I haven't heard the horns yet. And anybody knows the Bible, that's supposed to come first, right? I haven't heard it. I have not heard it. So don't be afraid to stand for what's right. Dr. King did it. Now, I'm not saying going out there and get crazy and stand in front of a police vehicle or anything like that. I'm not saying do that. But don't be afraid to speak out on what's right. And I know I've had more time than I see. I told my wife I wouldn't take up the whole hour. But if anybody has any questions about me, like I said, I gave you flyers for my books. And you can read the titles like I told the young lady here, Ms. Hayes. You don't have to actually purchase the books. The books are all $15, and I did it. The way I wrote the books is because I wrote it for 14 and older. Because I think the 14-year-olds at that age, now, I say 14, but I have a granddaughter, and I'm gonna say, her name is Chloe Renee Jenkins. Now, we call her Coco, but Grandpa has to call her whole name. I don't know why. My wife don't call her that. My wife calls her Coco. Everybody else calls her Coco. I have to say Chloe Renee Jenkins. She's 11 and outstanding. She reads chapter books, and she's done read all her Papa's books. And she know things. When they say they've been here before, that's one of them. She's been an old soul. Old soul, been here before. So I'm telling you, you don't have to necessarily, just read the preface or read what the book's entitled, and it'll tell you. Everything in there can be fact checked. In the back of my book, I have bibliography and references to my study, and I'm still researching and studying, working on the new book. And it'll be released through Amazon. And as I'm finished, it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to edit and all this kind of stuff, but it gets released. And if you want to check on it, just keep checking on Amazon with my name. And Ashley did so nice of work on the papers, you can just QR code it, and it'll, right there. See, that's something that took me a while. I know computers, but not like her. Where's she at? She left out here. There she go. Okay, when I saw that, I was like, what? Wow.
I don't know it either.
Wow. Well, I make me feel like I'm something. So if anybody have any questions about me or anything like that, or anything, anything, I don't care, you can ask me anything. Anything you want to ask me, any questions you want to ask, my education, I'm still working, like I said, I'm in law school, taking classes. I was at Charleston School of Law, and but one thing I can say, I'm under the tutelage of some attorneys and some federal court justice, just through my affiliation with the military, that I will probably bypass law school altogether and probably take go back in the military and take a commission. Maybe. That's when I get to Hawaii. Maybe. Because the way things are, I may do that. But anything anybody want to ask me, any questions you want to ask, feel free. No questions? Nothing? Nobody want to know about Hawaii? Yeah, I'll tell you this, everybody says Hawaii is expensive. For y'all, it's expensive. I'm a Kama'aina. That's a local. That's like I say the difference in shopping here, say Piggly Wiggly here, and say Market Commons. That's the difference from Waikiki and anywhere throughout the outskirts of Honolulu, even North Shore. We don't pay taxes. They tax the tourists, and they just went up 2%. So it's not 7, it's about 9 now. And everything is crazy expensive, but just not for us. That's why we may be making that trip back. Okay.
So since I'm just, as of today, getting to know you, the subject of your books, are they biographical? Or
Okay. No. Well, it's a lot of it is based on historic fact, and none of it is like really my opinion. The thing about it, I'm trying to, how can I say it? opened the door. Like I'll say it like this: everybody has a smartphone, and I tell my grandkids this all the time. To me, smartphones are for dummies. We barely use our phone for a quarter of what you can actually get out of that phone. The knowledge that we have now with the internet and AI is just stupid. AI is stupid. Kids are going to stop going to college when AI gets finished. Because when you can just go in there and say, write me a history paper about Dr. Martin Luther King and his I Had a Dream speech and what that means to you, summarize. Okay.
But in terms of category and subject matter,
Okay, like I said, I'll answer that question, not cutting you off. My first book, the first book I wrote, is called Perverted Justice. Okay? The unconstitutional bias of white privilege. I had the privilege to go to something that, through Bishop Watkins, Bishop Watkins, I call him Gunny, he's a Marine too, but he's also the bishop, the founder of Soul Saving Station. Anybody know it? Okay?
The local.
The local, okay, save that for him. But I was privy to a situation where a young man I thought was being racially profiled. And I normally don't get involved with things, but I saw the injustice. And not even being an attorney yet, I stepped in. And like I said, if anybody ever had any of my business cards, my business is Coastal Independent Paralegal. We employ a bunch of paralegals, and we put them out to lawyers who don't have a paralegals who can use one. And so I don't give legal advice, but I do give my opinion, and I also know how to redirect you in where you need to go. And so, with long story short, with that said, I saw what white privilege, and anybody here that feels that I wouldn't say white, my Caucasian brothers and sisters, European brothers and sisters, is not any kind of batting towards you. But if you look at Dr. King, what he was talking about is the legacy of oppression. The legacy of oppression. Now, have anybody ever heard of Dr. Joy DeGorsi? Okay, there's something just like I know I've been diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress. There's something called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it's generational. It's in our DNA. You wonder why young men are mad and angry, why you have single mothers and all that. Think about it, where it comes from. And I got a chapter of that in my book, and also in my other book, We Were Not All Slaves. And what I do, I take us back to royalty and what we were, and that everybody wants to teach that, the Europeans and the colonists just went over to Africa and started snatching folks. No. There was war. And if you was to go and look it up, and like I said in the back of my book, the bibliography and things where I got it from are from universities who teach the subject. There were wars going on before the first 100 slaves even touched the Americas. People on both sides died. So my books is why I say, as far as being controversial, I talk about a subject that other people don't want to talk about. And like I said again, the truth will never be a lie. And I put in the back of all my books, fact check me. If I'm wrong, bring it to me. I'm not one to say, hey, I'm right. But I know for a fact what I'm writing is fact. See?
I'm glad you said that, Brother Raymond, because I run into a lot of writers. Of course, there are two types of writing, at least. There's fiction and there's nonfiction.
Exactly.
But I have found when you are writing nonfiction, and I've written both, there's always somebody who wants to challenge
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
credentials.
Yes.
And if you don't put a bibliography or an index in the back of the book, in fact, the old comedian, one of the greatest comedians, Richard Pryor,
Okay.
he said, you don't have to take my word for it, Walter Cronkite said it.
Okay.
So Because a lot of times, especially, not so much my books, but when I write articles, for Gab News there's a segment of people, before I can get to the first paragraph, they're all over me.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're calling me
All kinds of names,
you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I sleep well at night.
Uh,
The thing is that you have to put stuff there so they can look it up. Even in one of my most popular books, 150 Facts About Black, I put right underneath the title, the subtitle was complete, what does it say? Complete proof. So that they can see that it's not coming from me.
exactly.
You're like me, there's a lot of research that
Oh,
goes
God.
in. A lot, what people call research now is just Googling.
That's it. No, you have to exegese. Look up that word, what that word means. That means sometimes I go down a rabbit hole and my wife has to pull me out, for real.
And YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't believe that they believe this.
And I don't even use AI. I don't use AI. I don't use AI because AI, that's why they call it artificial intelligence. It has an opinion. Believe it, it'll scare you. Put something in it. It has an opinion. They don't call it artificial intelligence for a reason. It has an opinion. And if they keep messing with it, it will eliminate human thinking. When you're thinking for yourself, human thinking, common sense. Like my granddaddy used to always say, good old common sense. You know, you either get it in your head or upside your head. So yeah, you know, so be careful about AI when you do research with AI.
So me and Ashley were reviewing your book titles.
Mm-hmm.
And one that caught my eye was Hatred Among Us.
The Hatred Among Us, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that book?
Okay. And I did, I'm gonna tell you right now, I wrote that book for y'all. When I say y'all, my sisters, my mothers, okay? And even Europeans in general, because I did observational research for a whole year and a half. Just walking around Georgetown, places, went all the way to Charlotte, you know, Florida, just looking at the races and how they treat one another. And I was trying to level out, okay, who hates their ethnicity? Notice I didn't say race. Who hates their ethnicity more? Europeans or African Americans? And I'm gonna tell you folks, and this is unbiased, unapologetic, we hate ourselves more than they hate themselves.
We do.
And it's sad. We call our women the B word.
Yes, we do.
Those who have mothers call mothers mother effers. Call our brothers the N word. And if you looked at my books, there's one of my books, and you can look at it, the word niggerdom. Niggerdom, that's the title. You know what I put it in there for? I did a research, I also had to ask permission to use that word. Anybody familiar with Cat Williams, the comedian? He has a skit that he says, never before in the history of our niggerdom. And I had to say, okay, what does that mean? And what it means is the diaspora of us, the kingdom of that word. So I said, let me exegese this word and see where it came from. Because people don't realize it was never deflammatory. It was descriptive. Now I'm gonna let you know about myself. You're looking at an African American. My mother's from right down the road, North Santee. But my father, his people, is from the Dominican Republic. Dominicano, okay? And I looked up that word and the descriptiveness of that word in French, Spanish, and then it took me through the history of Revolutionary War, Spanish-American War, French War, all of that, where everybody want to say had to do with slavery. They never called us the N-word, hard A, hard R. They never called that. Negra, negre, negro. All meant black. And it meant black like as a color, not this. Okay? Was meant to describe a color. They never called anybody white. You were either called French, European, or whatever your ethnicity was. You wasn't called white. They didn't go around calling people the N-word or even black. They were descriptive in the word terms, but that's what it is. And with that, I said, to protect my sisters, I had to write something like that about the hatred among us, because I see sisters who are lighter than others or choose to wear their African attire with pride, with other sisters who choose to be what I can say, Wall Street fashion, you know, telling me, oh, I don't believe she wore that. Oh, what, you African now? It's crazy, it's ridiculous. And you go to other countries where they're walking around with their attire and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And now for my European brothers and sisters, if you're Polish and he's Italian or whatever, when they were coming to Ellis Island, my home in New York City, they were coming by the hundreds of thousands from all across Europe, Norway, Spain, and nobody cared about white or who was whiter. They was just coming to find a place to live, to survive, to get along. So I wrote that book, The Hatred Among Us, based on my observation and studies, historic studies. Like I said, in the back of the book, there's a bibliography and a reference of why this generational hatred is still being perpetuated. Okay.
Does it touch, so I don't know if you know, but right now on TikTok, it's a big debate, TikTok and YouTube, because now you have, I'm what you would call a Pan-African.
Okay.
But now now we're further separating ourselves within the Black community, because now you have Pan-Africanism, you have what we have, the foundational Black Americans now, and it's a whole group of Black Americans.
And did you hear me earlier, what I was talking about?
No, I wasn't in here.
Labels.
Right, labels. And it's furthermore separating us as a whole. And you have it where they're doing these nasty fights and arguments within the community for the public to view and see. And what was not being spoken about is the sickness that colonialism have left Blacks of all nationalities from all areas with, to the point where to this day we're still fighting and going at each other and separating ourselves amongst each other.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one question. Do you know who you are?
Yes.
Physically, mentally, spiritually?
Yes.
Okay? Before I went to the Marine Corps, I was about 11, 12 years old. I was an art prodigy. Actually, I tell you, I can paint my butt off. I haven't done it in a while, but I can paint and draw. My grandkids took the legacy, and they're outstanding. I got grandkids in college for graphic designing, graphic arts. One of them is working on a book for the school to do the graphic designs. But when I was growing up in New York, in Brooklyn, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Fort Greene, I heard people saying, why are you going to that college? They only allow white people to go to that college. Why are you doing this? Because that's for white people. Or why are you doing that? And one day, I was 12, I told this kid, I said, I'm gonna tell you something, and I'm here and nobody stopped me. A white woman put me here. Now, as I got older, went through the Marine Corps, got my rank. When I finished boot camp right here at Paris Island, I came out of PFC. That's hard. I came out of PFC. I went to sniper school, got my lance corporal. Within a year. And to tell you the God honest truth, here's my right hand to God. A white person has ever stopped me from doing nothing that I rather do. Nothing. It's all here. And the things that they perpetuate on social media, you gotta know how to combat that, know who you are. And me, I don't really get into it. I don't even respond on some of the stuff. Like I said, I got a Facebook because I deal with my brother, you know, who is famous, and I'm not gonna say who he is, but he's famous, and I deal with him, you know, and outside of that, my people in Hawaii, I don't respond to all the negative. I would say to you, and I say to everybody sitting here, it's legislation. Those things need to be monitored, and certain things should not be allowed. I mean, once upon a time when I was growing up, when it first started, you remember those computers with the big monitor, looked like a television, and computers was coming out? You couldn't even get pornography on that. Now it's crazy. And you can put parental blocks and all this other kind of stuff, and kids nowadays, with the smartphone for dummies, knows how to just bypass all of that stuff. So if it's there, they're gonna find it. If it's not there, they're looking for not. So that's something that is, you gotta deal with your legislation in every state. Talk to your congressmen, talk to your senators. Those things need to be regulated, monitored, and if have to, de-X'd. I was praying that they was gonna cancel TikTok here. I was praying that, because you know why? One of my things I did, and if I told you I would have to kill everybody in this room, I dealt with intelligence. And there's things out there in that dark web that would blow your mind. That would blow your mind. And so I'm telling you, you have to know how to maneuver around all that stuff. You know what to look for. And if you're going on there for righteous information, and I mean righteous information, it's there. But if you go in there, just be careful. You fall down that rabbit hole, it's hard to come back. Because then you believe everything that's on there. And now, like I said, with AI, you don't know what to believe. You don't know what, you almost need a degree just to navigate the internet. So with that said, just be careful. And being who you are, I want to, I guess, deputize, galvanize everyone here. Like I said, when you leave here today, don't forget this. Don't forget this. I mean, I didn't expect a lot of people to be here, you know, and I wasn't shocked because I've been in Georgetown long enough to see my Caucasian brothers and sisters. Because when I was with the NAACP, boy, ooh, a lot of them stood with us when a lot of us didn't stand with us.
There you go.
And that's fact.
That's a fact.
So I'm not bashing my people or anything like that. Like most people, oh, you just bashing. No, the truth hurts. So I wrote these books, unapologetic. And my titles will go, woo! Because for a while, Amazon was trying to block my books. And I do my own graphics. Like I said, I was an artist, I could do graphics. Like those book covers you see, I did those. And some of the photos, like on the first one, the black and white, for almost a year, they was advertising my books. All the other photos, even with the guy with his knee on George's sister, they showed that, but they blurted that part right next to the black and white photo out. Isn't that funny? And how I got past that, took my legal prowess and say, wait a minute, you're Amazon? Here, look. This is not pornography, but you remember those Harlequin romances? See, I'm dating myself again, where you got all the on the cover and everything. You can publish that, but you can't publish the truth. That's a real photo. It wasn't made, wasn't doctored or anything like that, but you can take a made up photo, sketch, drawing, whatever, of women and men and all that. You can do that and publish it, but you want to blur me out? They released my book. So with that, I'm gonna leave you because I know I can sit and talk forever. Love each other. There's a purpose In the Bible, in the back, something called Revelations, there's a chapter that's a blueprint of our coming together and saving one another. Because we are all the same. Mendisa, we all breathe the same. That song by Mendisa, we're all beautiful when we come together. Keep that in your hearts and minds. And with that, I love all of y'all, truthfully, with all my heart. I love my people. When I say I love my people, I mean I love all my people, because I got uncles and aunts and cousins that look like them. You see Miss Maria over there? I got an auntie look like her. Serious. And if you bother her, boy, you could be black, purple, green, I don't care. That's blood. I don't know you. And my wife, Portuguese, all of that is in that. All of that. Hawaiians, they was navigating the planet before Christopher Columbus even knew what a boat was. So we can go on and on about her heritage and her background. So with that, just love each other. Be genuine to one another. And if you got family members that's going through it, tell them the truth. You're doing them a disservice by lying. Tell them the truth. And if you know something, see something, do something. My grandmother said, and I'm going to leave you with this. When you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. And with that, I love all y'all, and thank you for your time. That's my phone.
All right, good afternoon, everyone.
Good, send it to me.
Thank you all for coming out and celebrating the MLK Dream Day with the Georgetown County Libraries. I am Giovanna Davis. I'm the videographer and social media manager here. And let's just first off start with giving Ashley a round of applause for all her hard work. Ashley been getting on my nerves about this program for a while.
Being honest. Go ahead, girl.
I'm just telling it like it is, okay? Phone calls, 9 p.m. What you think about this, Joe? What you think about that? 7 a.m. in the morning. You ain't at work yet? But I love Ashley, and I love her determination. I love her motivation. I love how she has get up and go when it comes to putting things on the forefront and bringing programs to this library and to the children's department. She's a very, very hard worker, and I just want you to keep it up. Keep up the good work. Don't stop. We need more people like you.
Yeah, Ashley!
So I'll start off by reading the ending acknowledgments, and again, thank you all for coming out. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all who made this exhibit possible. Thank you to our presenters for sharing your insights and enriching our understanding of Dr. King's legacy. We appreciate our sponsors for their generous support, reflecting a commitment to learning and unity in our community. A special thanks to our volunteers for your hard work and dedication. Your efforts have significantly impacted this event. Together, you help honor Dr. King's dream and keep his message alive. Thank you for being a part of this meaningful journey. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You owe me some Tylenol, Ashley.
You owe me some Tylenol, Ashley.